The 1 Year Bible, the Living Bible Paraphrased. February 22. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "If anyone notices a swelling in his skin, or a scab, a boil, or pimple with transparent skin, leprosy is to be suspected. He must be brought to Aaron the priest and to one of his sons, for the spot to be examined. If the hair in the spot turns white, and if the spot looks to be more than skin deep, it is leprosy, and the priest must declare him a leper. But if the white spot in the skin does not seem to be deeper than the skin, and the hair in the spot has not turned white, the priest shall quarantine him for 7 days. At the end of that time, on the 7th day, the priest will examine him again, and if the spot has not changed and has not spread in the skin, then the priest must quarantine him 7 days more. Again on the 7th day, the priest will examine him, and if the marks of the disease have become fainter and have not spread, then the priest shall pronounce him cured. It was only a scab, and the man need only wash his clothes, and everything will be normal again. But if the spot spreads in the skin after he has come to the priest to be examined, he must come back to the priest again, and the priest shall look again, and if the spot has spread, then the priest must pronounce him a leper. When anyone suspected of having leprosy is brought to the priest is to look to see if there is a white swelling in the skin with white hairs in the spot and an ulcer developing. If he finds these simple symptoms, it is an established case of leprosy, and the priest must pronounce him defiled. The man is not to be quarantined for further observation, for he is definitely diseased. But if the priest sees that the leprosy has erupted and spread all over his body, from head to foot, wherever he looks, then the priest shall pronounce him cured of leprosy, for it has all turned white. He is cured. But if there is a raw flesh anywhere, the man shall be declared a leper. It is proved by the raw flesh. But if the raw flesh later changes to white, the leper will return to the priest to be examined again. If the spot has indeed turned completely white, then the priest will pronounce him cured. In the case of a man who has a boil in his skin which heals, but which leaves a white swelling or a bright spot, sort of reddish white, the man must go to the priest for examination. If the priest sees that the trouble seems to be down under the skin, and if the hair at the spot has turned white, then the priest shall declare him defiled, for leprosy has broken out from the boil. But if the priest sees that there are no white hairs in this spot, and the spot does not appear to be deeper than the skin, and if the color is gray, then the priest shall quarantine him for 7 days. If during that time the spot spreads, the priest must declare him a leper. But if the bright spot grows no larger and does not spread, it is merely the scar from the boil, and the priest shall declare that all is well. If a man is burned in some way, and the burned place becomes bright reddish white or white, then the priest must examine the spot. If the hair in the bright spot turns white, and the problem seems to be more than skin deep, it is leprosy that has broken out from the burn, and the priest must pronounce him a leper. But if the priest sees that there are no white hairs in the bright spot, and the brightness appears to be no deeper than the skin and is fading, the priest shall quarantine him for 7 days, and examine him again the 7th day. If the spot spreads in the skin, the priest must pronounce him a leper. But if the bright spot does not move or spread in the skin, and is fading, it is simply a scar from the burn, and the priest shall declare that he does not have leprosy. If a man or woman has a sore on the head or chin, the priest must examine him. If the infection seems to be below the skin and yellow hair is found in the sore, the priest must pronounce him a leper. But if the priest examination reveals that the spot seems to be only in the skin, but there is healthy hair in it, then he shall be quarantined for 7 days, and examined again on the 7th day. If the spot has not spread and no yellow hair has appeared, and if the infection does not seem to be deeper than the skin, he shall shave off all the hair around the spot, but not on the spot itself, and the priest shall quarantine him for another 7 days. He shall be examined again on the 7th day, and if the spot has not spread, and it appears to be no deeper than the skin, the priest shall pronounce him well, and after washing his clothes he is free. But if, later on, the spot begins to spread, then the priest must examine him again, and without waiting to see if any yellow hair develops, declare him a leper. But if it appears that the spreading has stopped, and black hairs are found in the spot, then he is healed and is not a leper, and the priest shall declare him healed. If a man or a woman has white transparent areas in the skin, but these spots are growing dimmer, this is not leprosy, but an ordinary infection that is broken out in the skin. If a man's hair is gone, this does not make him a leper, even though he is bald. If the hair is gone from the front part of his head, he simply has a bald forehead, but this is not leprosy. However, if in the baldness there is a reddish-white spot, it may be leprosy breaking out. In that case, the priest shall examine him, and if there is a reddish-white lump that looks like leprosy, then he is a leper, and the priest must pronounce him such. Anyone who is discovered to have leprosy must tear his clothes and let his hair grow in wild disarray, and cover his upper lip, and call out as he goes, "I am a leper, I am a leper." As long as the disease lasts, he is defiled and must live outside the camp. If leprosy is suspected in a woolen or linen garment, or fabric, or in a piece of leather or leather work, and there is a greenish or a reddish spot in it, it is probably leprosy. It must be taken to the priest to be examined. The priest will put it away for 7 days, and look at it again on the 7th day. If the spot has spread, it is a contagious leprosy, and he must burn the clothing, fabric, linen or woolen covering, or leather article, for it is contagious and must be destroyed by fire. But if when he examines it again on the 7th day, the spot has not spread, the priest shall order the suspected article to be washed, then isolated for 7 more days. If after that time the spot has not changed its color, even though it has not spread, it is leprosy and shall be burned, for the article is infected through and through. But if the priest sees that the spot has faded after the washing, then he shall cut it out from the garment, or leather goods, or whatever it is in. However, if it then reappears, it is leprosy, and he must burn it. But if after washing it there is no further trouble, it can be put back into service after another washing. These are the regulations concerning leprosy in a garment or anything made of skin or leather, indicating whether to pronounce it leprous or not. The Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verses 1 through 29. Soon afterwards he, Jesus, left that section of the country and returned with his disciples to Nazareth, his hometown. The next Sabbath he went to the synagogue to teach, and the people were astonished at his wisdom and his miracles, because he was just a local man like themselves. "He's no better than we are," they said. "He's just a carpenter, Mary's boy, and a brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon, and his sisters live right here among us," and they were offended. Then Jesus told them, "A prophet is honored everywhere except in his hometown and among his relatives and by his own family." And because of their unbelief, he couldn't do any mighty miracles among them except to place his hands on a few sick people and heal them. And he could hardly accept the fact that they wouldn't believe in him. Then he went out among the villages teaching, and he called his 12 disciples together and sent them out 2 by 2, with power to cast out demons. He told them to take nothing with them except their walking sticks, no food, no knapsack, no money, not even an extra pair of shoes or a change of clothes. "Stay at one home in each village. Don't shift around from house to house while you are there," he said. "And whenever a village won't accept you or listen to you, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave. It is a sign that you have abandoned it to its fate." So the disciples went out, telling everyone they met to turn from sin, and they cast out many demons and healed many sick people, anointing them with olive oil. King Herod soon heard about Jesus, for his miracles were talked about everywhere. The king thought Jesus was John the Baptist, come back to life again. So the people were saying, "No wonder he can do such miracles." Others thought Jesus was Elijah, the ancient prophet, now returned to life again. Still others claimed he was a new prophet like the great ones of the past. "No," Herod said, "it is John, the man I beheaded. He has come back from the dead." But Herod had sent soldiers to arrest and imprison John, because he kept saying it was wrong for the king to marry Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. Herodias wanted John killed in revenge, but without Herod's approval, she was powerless. And Herod respected John, knowing that he was a good and holy man, and so he kept him under his protection. Herod was disturbed whenever he talked with John, but even so he liked to listen to him. Herodias' chance finally came. It was Herod's birthday, and he gave a stag party for his palisades, army officers, and the leading citizens of Galilee. Then Herodias' daughter came in and danced before them and greatly pleased them all. "Ask me for anything you like," the king vowed, "even half of my kingdom, and I will give it to you." She went out and consulted her mother, who told her, "Ask for John the Baptist's head." So she hurried back to the king and told him, "I want the head of John the Baptist right now on a tray." Then the king was sorry, but he was embarrassed to break his oath in front of his guest, so he sent one of his bodyguards to the prison to cut off John's head and bring it to him. The soldier killed John in the prison and brought back his head on a tray and gave it to the girl, and she took it to her mother. When John's disciples heard what had happened, they came for his body and buried it in a tomb. Psalm 39, verses 1 through 13. I said to myself, I'm going to quit complaining. I'll keep quiet, especially when the ungodly are around me. But as I stood there silently, the turmoil within me grew to the bursting point. The more I mused, the hotter the fires inside. Then at last I spoke and pled with God, Lord, help me to realize how brief my time on earth will be. Help me to know that I am here for but a moment more. My life is no longer than my hand. My whole lifetime is but a moment to you. Proud man, frail as breath, a shadow, and all his busy rushing ends in nothing. He heaps up riches for someone else to spend, and so, Lord, my only hope is in you. Save me from being overpowered by my sins, for even fools will mock me then. Lord, I am speechless before you. I will not open my mouth to speak one word of complaint, for my punishment is from you. Lord, don't hit me anymore. I am exhausted beneath your hand. When you punish a man for his sins, he is destroyed, for he is as fragile as a moth-infested cloth. Yes, man is frail as breath. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Listen to my cry. Don't sit back, unmindful of my tears, for I am your guest. I am a traveler, passing through the earth, as all my fathers were. Spare me, Lord. Let me recover and be filled with happiness again before my death. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 10. Winking at sin leads to sorrow. Bold reproof leads to peace.